At age 50, I was virtually 6 weeks to live. That was where my body had got to.
What was it at the age of 50? What were some of the things you had, the sickness or the diseases? What were you facing?
I was toxically poisoned, and it virtually got me into the state of cancer, diabetes, heart and lung disease, and arthritis.
Right.
So I wasn't in a good shape.
What sort of industry were you in at the time?
I was doing swimming pools,
Yeah.
and I mistakenly built a Statesman Caprice, and I cut the back of it off, and I welded a ute to it for advertising purposes. So I had a 6-wheel, 4-door luxury limousine as my advertising tool. But unbeknownst to me, the firewall didn't stop the petrol fumes and the exhaust fumes coming through. One stops the body's ability to accept nutrients, the cells won't accept nutrients, and the other stops the body from expelling waste.
So how many years or how long were you exposed to that particular vehicle, you think? 'Cause are you saying that was the cause of probably a lot of...
Absolutely.
Right. How long did that go on for?
400,000 kilometres.
Right. So at the age of 50, and I know this to be true that you were quite a successful pool builder, one of Australia's biggest. Yeah. So I take it you probably had all the money in the world to save yourself, but no education or pathway to do it. And so you went and you sought out how to rebuild your health. And where did you start?
I broke away from complacency. That thing of maybe going to the pub or just doing the same old stuff. So I actually left Australia. So I had no influence by any other people, and I just started again. What I did do, I met some very influential people in the healing industry, and I set up a company where I imported speakers to speak on health to a massive range of practitioners. So we were teaching practitioners about health. It was in listening to those speakers I found out what was the cause of my problem.
Amazing. Is this where it led you to... Because your nickname, or people know you as, and we can share your books and stuff later, is the Gut Man, right? So this led you down a path to start investigating gut health. Is that where you started?
It was interesting because I was in Scotland, and what I learned, I set up another company where we went and did blood microscopy and iridology on people. Like practitioners would bring their clients in, and we would check them and we would give them products. So I was monitoring what effect those products were having on people.
Let's dive in now. We've given the audience just a bit of how you guys know what you're in for. This is someone who has lived it, spent the last 28 years now talking about basically our environment, food, water, parasites, and what I've learned from you is not only just to look at, say, how the mainstream health industry treats a symptom, but your whole thing is we can actually live without disease. Let's look at the root cause. So let's open it up now and start talking about what are some of the main three things that, whether it's our environment or the food, or whether it's being in a room full of Wi-Fi and electronics. Let's maybe start at the importance of the gut and why you think it's not taught, but why you think it's so important. What is it about the gut that is governing the rest of our body?
It's everything. I mean, you go back to old sayings like, you have a gut feeling. You don't have a brain feeling, you have a gut feeling. I got a gut feeling something's not wrong. The gut drives everything. And if the gut isn't functional, neither is the brain. And if the brain's out of balance, we go and do silly things. So getting that gut right feeds the whole body. Every organ in your body needs nutrients that are delivered from the gut. So if the gut isn't breaking down your food and delivering the nutrients, the cells aren't being fed. They're starving. I'll give you an example. Malnutrition. Obesity is malnutrition because the body isn't getting any nutrition, so it's storing everything for a future emergency.
Well, here's the thing, right? Right now in our age, we spend more money on the health system than ever before. Mm-hmm. And is it true? Are we healthier or sicker right now?
If we continue to do what we're doing, the human race may only exist for another 2 or 3 generations because we're getting sicker earlier. The fallacy that we're living longer has gone. The only people that are living longer are the baby boomers because their diet back then set them up to live into their 90s and maybe 100. But the diets and everything that the children of the day are getting is not going to get them past potentially 60 years old. And there's the other factor is that most Western countries are having trouble breeding. We never had fertility clinics 50 years ago. We might have had one here and there, but now they're everywhere. People are going in and trying to get pregnant. And the reason that we're not getting pregnant is the body's a very intelligent piece of equipment. It just says to the woman, there's not enough energy here for me to feed you, let alone someone else. And if you're going to get pregnant, I'll just abort to save your life. So the levels of population, you need 2 to 1. You need 2 children to every family. Well, we've dropped below that. We're down to 1.1 in many places. So the chances of the human race surviving the chemicals and all of the things in our environment, and the environment is 40% of what causes a condition. 40% of the illness comes from the environment.
So we've got food, water, and environment. Let's talk about food for a little bit. I guess the main difference is, what's the difference between, say, 50 years ago and now?
When I was in Scotland, a friend of mine collected the nutritional supplements or the nutritional content of foods. Now, in the UK, they had a gazette that every year, every 10 years, they brought out a gazette that showed the nutritional value in foods. And up until, I think it was 1950 to 1990, he collected them, he got them all 10 years. And over that 50-year period, runner beans had lost 100% of their sodium. And he had a company that sold mineral supplements to offset the lack of nutrition that was in food. He was pulled aside by the authorities and said, you can't make those claims. He said, but I collected it from government gazettes. And the comment was, well, you can't believe everything in a government gazette.
No, we're not.
Right? But that was 1990, 1999 or something that happened. We're 25 years past then. So what was lacking in food 25 years ago is even worse today. So if you're not buying organic food where the soil has been fed the requirements to make the food full of the nutrition that we need, you're just not getting nutrients. And if you're not getting nutrients to the cells can't replicate another healthy cell. So we're not having a go at the authorities or the doctors or any of that stuff. The problem is our food is not life-sustaining. Simple. And then it's because of mass manufacturing. I mean, I bought some tomatoes the other day, and I won't say where, but they're still sitting on my bench two weeks like a piece of plastic. And they were bought from a
reputable supermarket.
Well, you said it.
Yeah.
But our food is so genetically modified, our body doesn't recognise it as food. So if you're not shopping at a farmer's market or, growing a few little things at your own home, and it's not that difficult to grow some tomatoes and bits and pieces, and understanding what the food does for you. I have a whole thing of the healing potential of foods, and it has to be organic. It can't be chemical copies of what food was. That's what we're eating.